Have you ever wondered what it's like to travel by bike? In this video, I'm going to break down everything you need to know to start your own bikepacking adventure. I'll run through what bikepacking is, show you my personal setup, and give you 10 essential tips. Let's get going. Just before the video starts, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Thank you! So what is bikepacking? Bikepacking combines cycling with backpacking. The adventure you go on can be as big or as small as you like, whether it's overnight or a multi-day trip. Whereas traditional cycle touring tends to be with panniers and on roads, bikepacking tends to have a focus on using bikepacking bags and heading off-road. I personally have a massive love for cycle touring after my Alaska to Argentina trip. More videos on this soon, I promise. But I am keen to get a bit more wild on this particular trip, hence why I'm exploring bikepacking. Whether cycle touring or bikepacking though, the freedom and adventure that exploring by bike offers are breathtaking. And my personal passion is empowering others to get out there on their bikes, get exploring and experience the freedom of traveling by bike. So if you're just entering this space, hopefully this video helps you get out there. Let's go. As I mentioned before, bikepacking is all about off-road exploration, so allow me to introduce my partner for this adventure, Torvi. She's a 2024 Genesis Vagabond 20, and I couldn't be more excited to have her by my side for this one. I'm incredibly fortunate to be partnering with Genesis Bikes for this adventure, and I'm really looking forward to pushing Torvi to her wintry limits. I want to show you exactly what she and I can handle, and at this point I think she might be able to handle a bit more than I can. After riding an off-road endurance event in June on a gravel bike, I realized I needed an upgrade if I wanted to do more off-road riding, and one of the key features I was looking for was the ability to run bigger tires. At the moment, Torvi has on 2.35-inch Maxxis Icons, and they provide so much more comfort and stability when tackling off-road, as well as supporting my heavy old self a lot better. I also wanted wider handlebars to give me extra stability on the trickier technical stuff, and I've been pleasantly surprised by how much extra control they actually give. It means I'm much more willing to tackle sections that normally I wouldn't dream of. But I think that's also due to the braking power that the Vagabond has. I was on a frosty, icy descent up in the lakes last weekend, and Torvi held her own. I felt really comfortable. It's nice to have that confidence in the stopping power. This is also the first time I've run a 1x drivetrain, and I've got to say, I haven't really noticed the difference when riding, but the one thing I have realized is it's so easy to maintain and keep clean. It's perfect for muddy riding, general bikepacking, etc., where you need something reliable and low maintenance. You can also see when it comes to carrying everything I need, the Vagabond has a ton of mounting options as well. You have got bolts for frame bags, you've got bolts for pannier racks, and up front you've got the fork mounts as well. So with all those mounting options, you can haul whatever you need to. With all of the above said though, the one thing I absolutely adore with this bike is the geometry. It means if I want to go fast, I can still push myself, which is really nice, having the ability to load her up and also push myself and go fast when I want to. And although I probably won't be doing that on this bikepacking trip, does mean if I ever need to pick up the pace to get to a particular camp spot or push through some of these military sections that are coming up, I can do. And finally, I'm not the lightest rider and I love to put a ton of stuff on my bike, but Torvi is forged by Thor's hammer. The Mjolnir steel tubing means that Torvi can carry me and all of my stuff without even sweating. So that's it. Meet Torvi, and the perfect tool for this upcoming winter bikepacking adventure. For my bags, I'll be using Restrap, and I'll be taking my handlebar bag, which will hold my sleeping bag and pad and some key electronics up here. I'll be taking 2 fork bags. The front right will be carrying my tent, and the front left will be carrying all of my cycling and wet weather gear. The 2 feed bags will be holding snacks, very important. My frame bag is going to hold all of my camp cooking gear and miscellaneous camping gear as well, including some food. And then my top 2 bags will be holding electronics that I need throughout the day. My down tube bag will be all of the heavy tools, keeping them low, and my saddle bag will have all of my dry camp clothing, toiletries, things of that nature. I'll go into more detail on how I like to pack these things in the tips section, which is coming up next, plus some other beginner bikepacking tips. And if you want a full gear list, I'll include that in the description of the video. So with all that said, here's 10 tips for beginner bikepackers. 1. Choose the right bags. Bikepacking bags strap directly to your bike, so you want to choose bags which fit your frame and are secure. The restrap bags I'm using maximize the space within the frame. Having said that, a big part about bikepacking and cycle touring is just getting out there, so you can also just load up a hiking bag and get riding, whatever you need to get out on the trails. 2. Weight distribution and wet and dry bags. Heavier items should be kept towards the center and as low as possible on the bike. So think the bottom half of your fork bags and either the frame bag or the down tube bag. You want to keep tools and cooking gear in those locations, and lighter items like sleeping bag and clothing in your handlebar bag and your saddle bag. I also like to have designated wet and dry bags, so the things like my wet weather gear and tent are kept separate from electronics and my camp clothes. 3. Gear accessibility. Keep things you use all the time like your phone, GPS, snacks in easy to access places. Camping and cooking gear should be kept at the bottom of your bags. 4. Pre-trip maintenance and prep. Make sure your bike has been recently serviced and is in good working order before you set off, especially your brakes and tires. You should also know at a minimum how to fix a flat, whether that's tubeless or tubed, and how to fix your chain in a pickle. Bikepacking trips normally go pretty remote, so you need to know how to do these things before you find yourself in the middle of nowhere. 5. Start small. Begin with an overnight or weekend trip. Get used to the feeling of the bike fully loaded and get used to all of your camping gear. You don't need to cross a country or a continent just yet. 6. Practice packing and unpacking your gear. Getting your dry, perfectly folded clothes and camping gear inside your bags is one thing, but getting them back in after a cold, wet, rainy camp is another. So take your time on these test rides and make sure you're comfortable repacking in a variety of situations. 7. Fine-tune your setup. Whilst on a test ride, feel out that weight distribution that I previously mentioned. Make sure all the gear you need is easily accessible. This is your time to take a moment and finely tune the setup. When you get home after your overnight or a weekend trip, note those things down that don't feel right so that you can change them for that bigger trip that's coming up. Number 8. This is one that I always struggle with. Pack light. It is easy to try and pack as much as possible or even overpack, but small trips are the perfect time to remember that less is more. Prioritize what you need to take, ditch the just-in-case items, and you'll thank me when those hills come up. 9. Leave no trace. Take any rubbish you make with you. Put it back in those bags until you find a bin, and make sure you bury your bodily rubbish. You know what I mean. And for those that don't know what I mean, dig a little hole and do your business in it. Leave the trails like you wish to find them. And finally, number 10. Plan your route. Use maps like Komoot, Ride with GPS, or draw your own on MapOut if you've got an iPhone. That's the one I like to use. This way you can make sure your route is safe and scenic. So either download and import a GPX file from your favorite bikepacking website or create one of your own. But if you do this before the trip, you can make sure you don't end up on any dangerous or unsafe roads. Stay safe. For this trip, I wanted to put Torvi and I through our paces. So for those that don't know, my long-term goal is to become the first person to cycle across Antarctica. So naturally, a winter bikepacking trip is a must. And to test Torvi, we had to take it off-road. Because of all this, my upcoming trip is aptly named Hunt for the Winter, people. Taking some creative inspiration from one of my favourite films. I am following my own advice though, and since this is my first winter trip, I'm not venturing too far away from home. I'm based down in Bournemouth in the UK, so the bikepacking route I've selected is called the Southern Divide, which starts at Land's End, the most southwesterly point of the UK. The route takes you through some stunning scenery to start with in Cornwall and Devon, passing through Dartmoor, before continuing on and hitting the Jurassic coastline of Dorset. Once I pass through here, I'll start to head north up to Winchester and join some of King Alfred's Way before hitting a section of the South Downs and then heading up onto the North Downs to finish and end the route in Rochester. I'm incredibly excited to be passing through some of these terrains and landscapes, and I know this is going to be an adventure, but I'm also distinctly aware this is not the right time to be doing this trip. The route is designed for long summer days so that you can take in all of these landscapes in the light in their full beauty. But for me, this trip is as much about enjoying the landscapes as it is about testing and pushing myself. In my last video, I set out to cycle from my home to Amsterdam and realized that the riding wasn't pushing me at all, so I sat back and enjoyed it. For this ride, I think I might set out looking to enjoy and then have the challenge slap me right bang in the face. We'll see how it goes. If you want live updates, you can follow me on Instagram at Biking Viking Rides. I'll be setting off on the 1st of December and looking to finish by the 9th of December. Or if you can wait, I'll be posting a full YouTube video of the adventure before Christmas. To wrap up, bikepacking for me is all about the freedom. Freedom to explore, challenge yourself, and connect with nature in a different way. Whilst traveling through Central and South America, I saw how much of a symbol the bike was for this freedom. It's a symbol of independence and almost rebellion. And every time I go out and do a cycle touring or bikepacking trip, I can really feel that within me. So whether you're just starting out or aiming for some big, bold adventures, it's about taking that first step. So I hope this video helps you along the way. And remember to start small and practice before you head out there. But I promise you'll be amazed at how far you can get with just 2 wheels. So what's your dream bikepacking route? Have I missed any big tips for beginners? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you have any questions, chuck them in there as well. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and follow the journey on Instagram at Biking Rides, where I'll be sharing live updates of the journey over the coming weeks. And if you want that full gear list, it's in the description below. Thanks for watching, and as always, good luck. I'll see you on the trails. Schmiles.